All right, JJ and Bill, good to see you guys. Pretty exciting times that are coming for us at HKB and the US in general with the approval of the Motiva implants in the United States. And it's been a long road, a 20-year road to get to this point. Is that right?
Yeah, this October, it's been 20 years since I founded Establishment Labs. So it's been quite a journey.
That's
I,
amazing.
I can
We
tell you
couldn't
we're
be more
super
proud.
excited to have your implant in the US, super excited to have it within HKB. And it's about time that we have some innovation into the implant space for the ultimate outcome, which is for patients and their safety. And there's something unique about Motiva and what they bring to the table. JJ, I'd love if you could just share with us a little bit about, you know, again, we've had the opportunity to go down to Costa Rica. We've had the opportunity to hang out with you, see the physical place up close and personal, meet all the people there. How would you describe Motiva, and what is the purpose of developing this company?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things is to understand that I grew up in a family of plastic surgeons, and my parents had their clinic next to the house. So I practically grew up inside a plastic surgery clinic. So you got to understand that to understand the genesis of Motiva, because really what Motiva is a combination of two really important things that this industry was missing. Is to understand that the plastic surgeons had to make up for the lack of technology with their expertise, their amazing creativity, and we thought we could change that. We could make technology be in favor of the plastic surgeon and actually make life easier for them. And then the other side is the patient, woman. And what we created is a women's health company dedicated to the space of breast aesthetics and breast reconstruction. But we are a women's health company. So that angle helps us to always keep, women safe. So all of our technologies were designed from the beginning to reduce device-related complications and make them almost an anecdote. Now we're going into this new generation in which we are working very hard to reduce technique-related complications so that those almost completely go away, so that at the end, this becomes, I would say, a space where women can focus on what is important to them, which is the aesthetic outcomes that are in par with their expectations.
It's interesting that you say that because in our practice, we've kind of, really tried to invest more in becoming just more in tune with kind of what our patients really need, and even kind of altering our whole entire trajectory from our brand and changing our brand to, health, knowledge, and beauty. And I think it's really important because Bill and I joined each other, and Bill joined Joe Hunstead, who is since now stepped away for one reason, that we were better together and we have to innovate. All the things that we're doing now are great, but it's antiquated and we need to, innovate and, get to the new kind of technology, do something different so that we can get a better outcome. And so for us, one of the things that really is appealing with us as an organization and you all, and we've gotten to get to know you all, I think almost 8 years ago. Hanny introduced us to each other, and that's when Bill and I kind of started to get more interested. So I think it's important for like our team to know, our patients to know, is that, we obviously care about the most important thing is outcomes. But we also care about what's behind the products that we're using and making sure that there is the backbone of what's driving that is solid, has the right purpose in mind. And that was the most refreshing thing to see that, this is about outcomes. This is about propelling and changing the space. So I think, I feel like Bill and I and all of our incredible team, we're so much more than just plastic surgeons. Like we are providers and aesthetic, physicians and injectors, really kind of taking care of the patient holistically. And I guess my question is, are you guys an implant company? Because I don't think you are necessarily, and I think it's important for people to understand kind of what's coming.
Well, I think definitely we are making breast implants, but we're a women's health company. And, as time has passed, we've gone from just making breast implants to making femtech solutions. So if you think about like our latest generations of Motiva, they all speak to that idea of not only reducing the safety related complications, but really changing the experience for the patient during that aesthetic journey. And I think that is fundamental. And just like HKB is not just, a plastic surgery center. It's a place where women are treated differently, where they have a different experience, where they are being taken into account, not only on the safety side, but on their expectations. And in that journey, they found the right partners in you. And that's why we love working only with board certified plastic surgeons, but also within that group to work with organizations like HKB.
It's amazing. And one of the important things too, I think, is to convey, and I think you guys do it well, and your data shows it. But this product has been available outside the U.S. for many years now, and now also there are even newer generations of products and innovations that are already available that would eventually be coming to the U.S. From a standpoint of how it's been received by our colleagues outside of the U.S., any comments on that?
Yeah, I think that every surgeon who begins a journey with, our Femtech solutions, will give this account of how, their practice has been improving, how their business has been growing on breast, because of course, technology is on their side. So eventually, women talk about it. The importance of, having this low inflammatory surface in the smooth silk devices, allows not only to get away from capsular contracture, but to have real soft breast. And that really speaks to women because, that's why they come here. They're going to look for, changing the shape or size, of their breast, but also to getting a soft result. And with the ergonomics, even moving to, a type of implant that is more comfortable and more akin to, their daily lifestyle. So that's something that, creates a lot of word of mouth. And of course, women will talk to other women and eventually your practice will grow. And then together, we're making this very, positive ecosystem for, both of our businesses to grow.
Yeah, it's great. Excuse me, at HKB, all the doctors and physicians really care about the data. And we're very data driven, right? We pick and choose procedures, we pick and choose devices based on the data that's there. And that's one of the defining characteristics, I believe, that it really makes Motiva implants stand out is the data in terms of the outcomes and safety profile. Can you define some of those, ideal characteristics of the device that we can talk about with our patients?
Yeah, if you think about it historically, there were important device-related complications that led to reoperations. Capsular contracture has been always, one of those systematic problems that, the industry had a, difficult situation trying to solve. And what we did is create a surface that is basically cell-friendly. It's low inflammatory. So because of that, it reduces basically the fibrotic response. And eventually, if you have less fibrosis downstream, you're going to have less capsular contracture. And, we did that in 2010. So it's been almost 4 million devices outside of the United States. And, we had our US clinical trial. We read the data at 4 years. And what do we see? That it is very similar to our experience OUS, that you have capsular contracture of less than 1%. In fact, in the case of the US clinical study, 0.5%. And that's just amazing because, it means that, this will be a rare event. And when it comes to rupture, even more, it's been, again, 14 years outside of the United States. So, way past what, people think is the normal age of a device to be in humans, which is thought about it to be, around 10 years. And then after that, you do the necessary testing and follow-up screening to make sure that the patient is well. But, what we see is, again, less than 1%, rates of rupture. And in the US clinical study, 0.6% suspected rupture. So, this is what makes us, a partner for women, but also for, organizations like HKB, because in time, what we're going to be working on is, how do we get the next technologies to work in your favor? Like the ergonomics implant is going to be an amazing new narrative for women in the United States because you start talking about, well, I'm going to get a natural result and softness at the same time. And with both of our products, the Smooth Silk Round and the Smooth Silk Ergonomics, you can put that implant when and if needed, on top of the muscle. So for a lot of women who are going to the gym and who are very active, who don't want to sacrifice that muscle, that's a really, really big thing. So all
That's a
of
good
this
point.
is innovation.
That's a great point, and like for all of our people who are watching this internally and externally, that, the reasons that surgeons were selecting pockets were often driven by things that were 100% out of their control and they were compensating for. Utilizing the submuscular under the muscle pocket because there was a moratorium and all the implants were saline was why, in the US, everybody was doing dual plane submuscular. And then when the implants shifted and there were more silicone gel implants, then they were stayed in that pocket. And then they're shifting now into the glandular or subfascial space and now needing to have soft tissue support, all these things that are, all over the place. It is really interesting to note that if you can get an implant and you can get a stable aesthetic result, not get capsular contracture, not disrupt the muscle, there is an effect. And all of us who do, Bill and I do a fair amount of submuscular augmentation, dual planes, and then also a fair amount of subfascials. And even those patients who are super active afterwards who do a submuscular augmentation, they still have a little bit of a change in their activity. They still have a little bit of animation. And I think that it's important to have patients, and I think you all are doing a good job, and hopefully the rest of the industry will do a good job at really educating and letting the consumer, the patients know all these details so that they can really pick the option. And you're using the concept of femtech, them be aware of everything so that they can basically get this outcome, barely take any time out of their day, literally, to have a procedure and then get back on that, express lane and go to the destination they're going and live their life and not have any negative repercussion. I think it's a huge deal because otherwise, the idea of an implant changing the body, deforming the breast, and then their future interventions being potentially complicated. A lot of what you guys have tried to do is think about kind of how do you optimize this intervention and then the future interventions that will follow to ensure that they are not complicated or potentially you get the maximal duration of effect. And I think it's a really important paradigm shift for our space for the United States. And it does excite me, but it's most importantly, it's just like it's good for women and it's good for just the long-term health of them and their breasts.
Absolutely. And if you think about like the ergonomics implant, it was designed with the science of ergonomics. And, what that science does is try to make objects more comfortable for humans, more functional. And, we always think about that in, the outside space, even more in something you're going to have in your body. You want that implant to be comfortable because you're going to be wearing it all day. When you're jogging, when you're in the gym, when you're with your kids, when you're out with your friends. So it has to play a role in each one of those scenarios. And that's why the ergonomics implant is such a game changer. And, in every market that we are in, that has become one of the drivers of growth and also one of the market expansion opportunities. And when you think about the Smooth Silk Round, it's more about expression, women who want to express more, the way they view themselves. It's an implant that creates softness, but allows for, that more rounded look to be expressed.
Mhm.
G and I always talk about this disassociation with the implant and the soft tissue. And that's one of the common complaints we often hear from our patients is like, we have this device, but it doesn't really interact very well with the soft tissues. I think that's one of the big factors that changes the dynamic is with the introduction of your implants in the market, we can avoid that disassociation. And I think patients will have a more natural, better aesthetic outcome because they won't feel that, oh my goodness, I have a different part of my breast has this implant and then I have this breast on top of it. They sort of interact with each other a little bit more acceptably. So in essence, that's what ergonomics is, right? In essence, is how that soft tissue interacts with that ultimate device.
Yes, and then going a step further, how your daily movements, you're more comfortable, in doing them. And one of the things that I absolutely love is when women in secondary surgery move away from, devices that are very stiff and into something like ergonomics. And they say things like, I'm hugging my friends again. I can, sleep on, any position that I want. And those are like the drivers of like happiness for patients.
Yeah. How about JJ for in regards to, people who want to just exchange or upgrade? Is this really, more of a primary situation or secondary and tertiary cases are faring well with the products that are,
No,
revision
I think,
cases?
of course, the best situation is one in which, you know, the interaction with the native tissue is done,
Mhm.
in the healthiest way from the beginning. But, not all women have that opportunity, and we can still help them.
Mhm.
So, regarding women who have had devices before, we just have to be aware that there may be some choices that, they are going to have to make. In some situations, they might need, tissue support. In some cases, they might not be able to move planes. In some cases, they might need to, change their view of the sizing. So all of these things are important as part of the conversation with the surgeon. But absolutely, there are stories all the time of women who've had continuous capsular contractures, and eventually, by using Motiva, they are able to get away from this idea of, hard breast, and that's lovely.
No, it's massive. One of the other things I remember, and I thought it was a really unique thing, and if I was a woman or, for my loved ones, I love the idea of essentially kind of implants that are born and packaged on the same date are the implants that a patient's going to get. I have not seen that anywhere else, and I think that's a really unique thing that I think would give patients maybe a little sense of peace of mind. That can you describe kind of how that is done and the value of that?
Yeah, I think, there's so many details that are in the technology. And one of them is the twin pack, making sure that when if and if possible, unless there's, an asymmetry that requires different sizes, we provide, the surgeons with two implants that are basically real twins. They were born the same day, they're part of the same lot of product.
Mhm.
And, all of these things matter downstream. And whatever we can do, sometimes they may seem like little details, but if you add all of these little details, blue seal, what we are doing in terms of, our sterility time, when we are working towards that, so we don't like overcook the implants. All of these things matter downstream, and together they're part of that low complication rate that is part of Motiva.
Mhm. The details matter.
I tell you, it's
Thank
pretty
you.
exciting. I think G and I have already had patients reach out to us and say, "Hey, they're already on our schedules," and they say, "Hey, can I switch to the Motiva implants?" So it's happening, right? The word is getting out there, and I think patients are ultimately super excited about the opportunity to be able to have them inside.
Yes, and look, we couldn't be more excited because we worked so hard towards this FDA approval. The study is the most rigorous study has ever been performed in breast, under the FDA scrutiny. And this is fundamental that people understand that, we are, very rigorous when it comes to science, when it comes to engineering, and also the way we do design. And downstream, that has effects. And, when we think about finally being able to get the FDA approval, and with the numbers that we got, into the FDA approval system, now that we are moving into the time of being part of the business in the United States with all the clinics in different cities around the US, we couldn't be more excited. We're just counting the hours to be able to, get you guys the Motiva implants that your patients are requesting.
Awesome, man. Well, we're very excited and look forward to continuing to build on this relationship and honestly have our patients be able to get um, you know better outcomes and just you know live their best life. Life's
We
all
we
about
we
memories.
appreciate Motiva's dedication to the space, to patient outcomes, and we're excited to partner with them.
Well, look, thank you so much because both of you, since I met you, have taught us so much, in terms of, what are the expectations in the United States, not only from plastic surgeons, but also from, your consumers, women who are, in the patient space in your clinics, and that is something that we cherish and we will be always thankful for. So thank you again.